Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to TLT Talks. We have an exciting show for you today. Something most people in the world don't talk about. Some people get to experience, the fortunate ones get to experience some of this. It's something that tends to be confusing for most people. Just here, 3, 2, 1. Nothing. Instagram. Every time. Getting people on is the most difficult part. And here we go, Mr. Dmitry Gutman.
Yes, in the
Good
flesh.
morning,
I am
sir.
here. Good morning. We are live.
We
It
are
is a
live.
good morning. It
We
is a
are
good
live.
morning.
We are live. So I
Yes.
started by saying we got an exciting show today. We are going to talk today about something that most people don't get to experience. The lucky ones do. It's confusing for most people, and that is title. So let me just start with a brief introduction. Dmitry Gutman founded CTC Connect Title Agency 4 years ago. He's been in the title game for about 11 years in total. He's been in mortgages for 20 years before that. This guy's a real estate lifer. He's got offices in New York, New Jersey, Florida. From personal experience, and I've been working with Dmitry for a very, very long time, I could tell you A plus in professionalism, in customer service, but most importantly, of the highest integrity and total transparency, which is really important for this thing called title. So let's just start with that. Dmitry, I
Yes.
could talk for you about the entire show.
But
Why
let's
don't you tell the
not.
people a little bit about
Right.
why don't you tell the people a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Eugene was not lying. So then I've been in title business for about 11 years. And my background before that, I did mortgages for about 19 years. So sum it up, I've been in the real estate game for about 30 years, close to. So then title in insurance is it's a very interesting instrument, and you gotta love what you do. If you don't have the passion for it, uh, it's not your game. So then I've been working with Eugene for about 11 years, and you need to be professional and humble, and you have to be on point in any business that you're in. But I took the title game to a whole different aspect of the world. I made it fun.
Mm.
I took the boring part and I flipped it over like a pancake, and for 11 years I just crushed it, and there was like no ending towards me. I went after everybody, but you know what? In the professional matter, and when I executed, when I came into the field, that people think, what is it all about? What's about Dimitri? Why is he after us? And after a while, they realize I meant what I said. So then I had an amazing follow up, follow through, and then people just took a liking and gravitated towards me. They wanted to work with me, and then so I took that aspect as a friendly person, and then in in this field called title, and then at the same time I took my time, I took my patience
Mm.
to explain to real estate brokers, real estate agents. I mean, attorney know the game, but and that's like, I guess that's what made me. I'm not saying I'm better than some other title professionals. They're good at the game. I just made it different. I made it fun and I made it exciting. And then and here I am today on a live show with Mr. Eugene Litvak. You know,
I love that, man. I love that.
it's
I love that.
definitely my honor to be on the show. So then tell me what else. Pick my brain. I'm all yours.
Well, I love
Go ahead.
that. Look, any company is just a summation of its people. And so the fact that you have such an energy about, I'm always talking on the show and in general about what a commodity energy and passion is. And so
Mhm.
anyone that's going to meet you for 5 minutes knows that you're full of that, and that directed is unstoppable. So that's pretty cool. Well, let's talk about title. So first of all, for those that may not know, the name of the company is CTC Connect Title. CTC stands for Clear to Close.
Yes.
Magical words
Three
for any
magical
buyer or
words.
seller or anyone
Yes.
in the industry. Everything we do is to get to this point of
Correct.
CTC. So what a clever name. Let's
Yes.
talk title. Let's talk title.
Sure.
I feel like even the people that have actually been through the process of owning a home. All they know is that it's a line item on their closing cost statement.
Right.
But what is title and why is it so important?
Right. So title is it's a very interesting instrument. It is a commodity. A lot of people don't know it's shoppable. You can go to any title company and people will accept you because while you're buying a house. And but although in New York State and Jersey it's controlled by an attorney, we all get that. So my job, my back end office job. So I have three offices: one in New York and Queens, one in Livingston, New Jersey, and one in Coral Springs in Miami area. So title is a part that we do our, I guess, investigative work. What liens are on the property? There's any ECBs, violations, there's any list pendants, if the seller was in foreclosure, if the seller behind their mortgage payment, the seller is behind in the property tax. So almost like when you go to a doctor and then for a physical, he does full examination to see what is wrong with you. So then our job is to search on the property going back 40 years, and then and there's something called an abstract. We get it from our examiner, then the reader puts it together, and it gets then it becomes title, and then we email it to the buyer's attorney, seller's attorney, and also there's a bank attorney involved if it's a bank transaction. And then my back office interacts with the buyer's attorney, sales attorney, and basically we become part of the game. And we have this ball, and we all have to carry it, and then we have to bring to the closing table, and that's when we get our clear to close. And then, so then pretty much we examine, make sure the house is legal, one family, two family. We have to do our job due diligence to make sure there's no open violations, make sure that we cover all the errors, because you don't want somebody, let's say, to close today and then a year later get a knock on the door. Oh, by the way, I have ownership to this house. Oh, no, you don't. I have something called title insurance. So very important when you do close on the property, save that policy, put it in a safe, put it away on a rainy day. If you're looking to refinance or looking to sell the property, it will come very, very handy. Pretend is, put it together with your deed and or your marriage license, your marriage certificate, whatever you want to call it. Save it for that rainy day.
Yeah. So to summarize, for most people that are watching out there, if you're looking to buy a home or an investment asset or anything you're going to do in the way of purchasing, for most people, the purchase they're going to make is the biggest purchase of their life up until the next purchase. And so isn't it
Right.
important to make sure that what you're buying is actually what is being represented? And so long story short, title is just that. It's your purchasing title insurance, which is
Right.
on the back end of an investigation, as you call it. I love that.
Right.
Due diligence sounds good, but investigation sounds even better. At the end of a thorough
Right.
investigation, you'll make sure that what you're buying is whole and sound and what is actually being represented and not something else, which is how title was
Right.
born. That's why it's so important, because once you've closed, you not own the asset. And if there was a lien of any kind, plumber, accounting, tax, whatever,
Right.
if there was anything incorrect on the way it's filed, any of those things, all that now becomes your problem.
Correct.
And so the importance of title is to do the discovery or the
Right.
investigation ahead of actually buying the property. That's awesome, Dmitry. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
These title fees, man, there's all these fees in the closing cost statement. Nobody
Yes.
really understands them. For
Right.
sure, I would be willing to bet you poll 100 random real estate agents, you give them a closing cost estimate, you point it out and you say, you tell me, what is that? I'm going to go
Yeah.
8 to 9 out of 10 could not explain it to you. So let's illuminate
Right.
this myth, let's debunk this. What exactly are these title fees? How do they work?
Right. So then, yes, some of the agents you have to do this and clear, and then you have to zap them, and then when they come to light, like, oh my God, these are all of my fees. So then, roughly in the five boroughs in New York City, you could say title closing costs roughly about 4% of the purchase amount, because we have something called a mortgage tax.
Mm-hmm.
And then mortgage tax is 2.1% if they get a bank loan. Then it's the bank pays a quarter of it, and then the 1.875 belongs to the buyer. Then we have something called the mansion tax. I'm just gonna go $1 million, and then I'll stop it there. It's 1% of the purchase amount. So then, roughly in New York State, let's just say the five boroughs, it's about 5%. Once you go to Long Island or Westchester, it's about 4% because the mortgage tax is less. So then, in the title bill, you have your munis, you have your detrimentals, you have your mortgage tax, you have your mansion tax, you have your title insurance premium, which is only a one-time fee you pay the day of the closing, and it's state regulated. If you lined up 100 different title companies like Domino's, they're gonna be exactly dollar for dollar, plus some minus. Something's called junk fees. You can escape them. That's how title companies also make their money. It's not a hidden secret. That's how we're able to survive. I mean, junk fees, every single title company charges them, which pays for the overnights, pays for the searches, and then, for example, examination search could cost me $400 to $800. It's also part of the fees. And once you go outside, let's say New York, once you go to New Jersey doesn't have a mortgage tax, but New Jersey does have a mansion tax. Once you go to Florida, then there is no mansion tax, there is no mortgage tax, which so it is very attractive part of the title that people could buy a property, millions and millions of dollars, don't have to pay $50,000, $60,000 for the closing costs. Like in New York or Jersey, they're going to pay a fraction of it, only 30% of it.
Yeah.
But so then when anyone buys a property, the attorney will have to disclose to them, they have to give them a title bill from the title company they work with. Now you're just educating the consumer how much money they actually need to bring to the closing table.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
then my website, I have a title calculator. You could put in what's the purchase price, loan amount, the county, Bronx, Queens, Long Island, Westchester, how many bars is going to spit out, and actually closing cost statement. My system also calculates how much the seller has to pay as a transfer tax. And then again, you guys are rockstar realtors. And then just jump on my site, and then you see exactly how much the buyer, how much the seller has to pay. You could email it to them. You could do a snapshot. You could text it to them. I mean, we
Yeah.
live in technology only
Yeah.
one snap away.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
All right. So in the total closing costs, which I think you explained really well, I think it's fair to say closing costs, total is somewhere between 4 and 6%. What could you give us on a percentage basis of the total closing costs? What percentage of a sales price is title? 1.5. If it's $1 million property, what are the title fees alone? The title fees, the insurance fee,
Title fees
ballpark.
probably about roughly about 3%, and
3%.
then the other 2% you have your bank fees.
Right.
Could be Wells Fargo, whatever it is.
Right.
Whether if there's going to be any points, there's going to be any application fee, commitment fee, appraisal, roughly another
Sure.
2%. But title between pure fees between 3 to 3.5%,
Sure.
including the premium.
Yeah. So look, for those that might be watching, you might think, oh my God, that's a lot. If I'm buying $1 million home, I'm gonna have 30 grand in title fees. That's cheaper than $100,000 lien, but finding out the
Right.
property is not, doesn't have permits or whatever, the million of things that might come up.
Right. Not
Ultimately, it's
insurable,
just,
right? I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
to
yeah,
me,
yeah.
because you need to make sure the seller, also very important, make sure the seller has the right to sell the
That's
property,
right.
which will run to this
That's right.
situation all the time. We don't live, unfortunately, until 1,000 years old, and when parents pass away and the kids think they inherit the property, no such thing. As there's no trust in the state, there's no will, then the kids will have to hire an attorney to do a probate. So it's
Yeah.
very, very
We actually had
important.
that. Earlier in my career. We had exactly that.
Right,
Somebody
right.
called me, I'd like to sell my property. Run of the mill. I was earlier in my
Sure.
career, and we go to sell the property. And at that time, we didn't do any
Hmm.
diligence on who signs the listing agreement. And here we are, a beautiful deal closing table, or rather doing title. And all of a sudden, these people are not authorized to sell the house. And so the whole thing got paused, closing got delayed. We ultimately ended up selling it, but it took like 4 months to get everything sorted for that.
I know.
That's actually a good question. What are some of the other things that you see come up? What are some of the major issues you see come up with? So I'm talking not title came back smooth.
Right.
Let's say from the smaller things, like maybe there's $100 plumber's lien, let's say starting,
Right.
and making our way north in the way of problem potency.
Right.
What are some of the things that you see pop up on title?
Just sometimes, just when you thought you've seen it all, sometimes like, wow, haven't seen that one either in years. So that this is a first, which is very popular in the 5 boroughs. There's something that's called if there's an illegal tenant in the basement. And then, I mean, those are mostly not on your luxury homes, but still, if there's a legal tenant and then your next door neighbor decides to be spiteful, he will call the Department of Building, and then there's a violation. The tenant is out, but they never called the building department back to examine, make sure there's no tenant. So now we cannot close, we cannot issue insurance if there's still a vacant order. And I see that dozens upon dozens of time comes up every single year. The other main thing is mechanic liens. You hire a contractor to do the basement, new roof, new windows. You have an argument. You found something cheaper. So you know what? Lower the price. The contractor stick to the guns. So I'm not gonna lower my price from 50,000 to 30. Well, you're fired. You're fired. So mechanic. But I mean, the contractor, she said, sorry, puts a mechanic lien. And guess what? That's a cloud on title. It's not going to go away until you actually call back that contractor and kind of listen, sorry, I screwed up. Can we find a meeting of the mind? And then they follow you 50. Can we settle 40, 45?
Right.
And then if it's a commercial property, anything 5, 6, 7, 8 family up to 200 units, and the landlord didn't remedy, there's building violation, fire code violations, and then all of a sudden those ECBs violations could jack up $50,000-$100,000. If you guys are selling commercial property, those landlords have to take care of those violations. It's very, very important. They will stay on title either until the day you die or until you're going to remedy those violations. Very, very, very important. Because I mean, because nobody's going to allow you the change of title unless it gets paid in full.
Yeah.
Permits,
I bet you see something that wasn't permitted correctly, or outstanding permits, or unfinished permits, or I imagine you guys probably see that a lot.
Yeah, so then if somebody decides one day wake up, okay, my family is bigger, let me expand my house, going up, left, down, and then they did an extension illegally, and guess what? And now it's when it's time to sell, they're applying for a bank loan, and appraisal shows up. You have a finished attic, my friend. You know, it's time to take a saw, and you might have to cut it off. But yeah, that means that there's an open permit. So the only way to actually buy that house, we don't care because we don't insure ECB. So then they cannot get a mortgage from a regular bank.
That's right.
They have to go all cash because whatever they did is illegal. The bank will be forgivable if they did a porch extension of a porch. Maybe a finished basement is not a problem. As long as they do everything in compliance and they're able to get away with it, it's fine. But I've seen some
a
stuff.
scenario like that with a pool. We had a friend that was looking, I think, New Jersey, Long Island, somewhere, I forget where, and they find this beautiful property, and they go, they're making their way, sign a contract, all good, and all of a sudden title comes back, and it's like, yeah, this property in the survey, there's no pool.
Yeah,
So pause button in those 6 months,
yeah,
redoing permits, surveys, this,
yeah,
that, the other. My God, terrible,
yeah. So
terrible.
and
Well,
again,
on that, well,
especially
on that, let me ask you
yeah,
this, Dimitri.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Talk to me.
Uh,
Lay it on.
Tips. If I'm a consumer, if I'm a buyer, I don't want to go to contract to then run title to then figure
Right.
out, oh snap, I can't, or whatever. I'm just
Yeah.
wondering, do you have any recommendations for people that are looking? How do you get ahead of these things? Is there some kind of discovery they can do on their own before a contract? Do they call you before a contract? I mean, no one's going to run title before actually signing a contract,
No,
but
no.
any tips of how to get ahead of these potential issues?
So usually the Rockstar agent, they will probably go on Acris, maybe they go to Property Shark, and they
Mhm.
will see if there's any violations. They'll see actually who's the owner of the property. They might search the last deed of record. But I'm gonna be honest. What paid success to in me. I manage a lot of clients between developers, real estate brokers, real estate agents, attorneys, mortgage bankers, and brokers. So what I started doing for a lot of real estate agents and brokers, I was doing a courtesy lien search. So
Mm.
then before they list the property, they see exactly what's wrong with the property before they list. And a lot of times, if an agent, let's say Century 21, and provides the lien search to the seller and shows them all the good stuff they have to remedy, they have to take care of. And tomorrow they have an appointment with the Remax agent. Guess what? They're going to cancel that appointment. But I do every single year hundreds of either certificate of occupancy search shows exactly it's a legal one and two family, or to a lien search with all the violations. That's really the only way that could be, that have one step ahead before the contract gets signed. Because again, you could legally get out of the contract if there's violations to the resumes. They say buyers are liars, but a lot of times the
Mhm.
sellers are not forthcoming, and the buyers are liars been around for like probably 100 years. But I had that a quick discovery. The sellers are not, being forthcoming, and
Yeah.
which is a shame. They want to list the house for $1 million above asking, and then, oopsie, I forgot to tell you, there's violations. I
Yeah.
have three. I have three open mortgages. Uh, Oopsie. You're right. I have seen them all.
Yeah,
I
you
have
know what
seen
it is?
them all.
At this point, I feel like everyone that's got a horror story, a buyer, a
Mhm.
seller, a broke, everyone's got horror stories about each
Right.
other. So I've just learned to live with a very simple rule. Trust, but verify. I trust
Yes.
everyone, but I have to verify everything. That's the rule I've come to live
Right.
by. Dimitri, thank you so much for your time today, man. Any final
Sure.
thoughts, final
My
tips,
pleasure.
anything you wanna leave our audience with? This is gonna go out to about 100,000 people between consumers, buyers, sellers,
Right.
past clients. It's gonna go to industry professionals. It's gonna go to
Okay.
real estate agents, everyone. Any final thoughts of what you want to say? How could people find you? Maybe you want to
Hold
leave.
on. You told me only one person, just me and you. You understand about 100,000 people. All right. I'm kidding.
Surprise!
It's just I mean, when you buy a property, uh, team up with a good real estate agent that's gonna do all the job due diligence for you to find out everything about the property you're going to buy, and you're going to live in it usually about 8 to 10 years. And then just make sure you're gonna confront your attorney. Maybe ask him, can you run a lien search before I'm gonna sign that contract of sale? I don't want to waste my time, your time, which that may make sense. But the way to find me, I am very Googleable. I've been using that line for many, many years. People, I'm not afraid to hide. I'm all over social media. People, the best way to find me, just I'll give you my mobile number. It's 917-771-0608. I'm very easy, accessible, and just do your diligence before you buy the property and know what you're buying, which is very, very important.
Awesome.
That's all I got.
Dimitri, thank you so much, man.
My
Thank you, brother. Appreciate
pleasure.
your time this morning.
Anytime. All
See
right.
ya.
Thanks. Love you, brother.